MindQuest 3 ID Queen PC 25. NVDA portable. MindQuest 3 ID Queen PC. Items new list. And ops. Mind client 505. MindQuest 3 ID Queen PC 105. NVDA portable. Ops 29. MindQuest 3 ID Queen.
Kurgan's corpse to the 9th. To the first saving point. Use to the first.
Speech mode off.
You have reached saving point. Mekris to the final. To the second saving. Use Mekris to the square. You shop. Nathan asks the shopkeeper if he can sell him something to disguise himself. The man tells the mercenary that the best way to hide his identity in Willow City is to ask the witch who lives in the living forest. Goods. Arena to the Crossroad Temple. To the port. To the arena. First arena at goods. Herdsman. Merchant. Ivy. Shop. To the royal Two giant columns define the magnificent entrance of the royal palace, surmounted by a tympanum decorated with sculpted ivy leaves, with huge ivy plants surrounding the building. You have reached Royal Palace entrance. Conjurer. A conjurer doing his tricks for people. Now he's gambling with dice. Beautiful commoner girl. Conjurer. A conjurer doing his tricks for beauty. She's very happy, and when she discovers that Nathan is the hero who defeated the frost demon, she hugs and kisses him. She's very happy. Walls of the palace. The ivy is now green and overripe. Ivy bushes. Nathan rummages in the bushes. He finds some coins. The ivy bushes are now empty. To the palace hall. To the throne room. To the square. To the palace hall. The huge square room has an arched ceiling decorated with scenes of ancient battles. On the wall, frescoes of a map describing the lands dominated by the Ivy Queen. You have reached Palace Hall. Wooden cabinet. Such a showcase of glass flasks, bowls, pots, and cups. Such a carpet. On the floor, a carpet which seems to be made of tiny ivy branches sewn together. Saving point. You saved the game. Plant statues. Along the walls, marble statues of historical ivy royal bushes, every one of which was owned and blessed by an ivy king or queen. Ivy chandelier. An ivy bush growing from the middle of the ceiling, which holds a dozen glowing rocks, brightening the room. To the royal palace entrance, to the main corridor, to the library, wooden cabinet, to the a narrow room with lecterns and tables, illuminated only by oil lamps. On the walls, paintings of the famous scribes of the past. You have reached library. Scribe. Nathan tells the scribe what's going on. He tells him he can help him to understand how to find the ivy seal, but he needs red ink. Nathan tells paintings. Various paintings of famous ivy scribes. Everyone with a shaved head, with the usual green cassocks and long earlobes with dozens of earrings.
Speech mode talk. MindQuest 3 NVDA portable ops 29 ops config delete setting exit source lock audio mute property for mix slash volume slider mute mix slash check controls window pause recording check box not checked. MindQuest 3 ID Queen.
Tables. Long wooden tables covered by scrolls, papers, and books. Some are a bit messy. Others have neat piles of books. Long wooden tables covered by lecterns. In front of all the tables, 3 wooden lecterns, probably used by the older scribes to teach the younger ones.
Speech mode off.
Shelves. Shelves with some books and scrolls. But most of them are across the room, in the library. Shelves with some... Shelves. To the palace hall, to the library shelves. 7 long shelves full of books and scrolls fill the room. There are oil lamps here and there, but this part of the library is rather dark. A layer of dust covers everything. You have reached library shelves. Oak wood bookcase. The bookcase is full of books about astrology, astronomy, history, philosophy, magic, and a dozen or more subjects. Nathan doesn't envy the life of the scholars. The bookcase is full. Maple wood bookcase. The bookcase is full of treaties and pacts with the near isles of the Triskelus archipelago. Even just looking at the books makes Nathan bored. The bookcase. Maps bookcase. The bookcase is full of maps of places from all Aetherna. The view. The bookcase is full of maps of places from all Aetherna. The view increases Nathan's wanderlust. Goddess Aetherna painting. The painting depicts a woman with green skin and flowering branches between her hair. She is the goddess who protects the island. To the library. Oak wood book. To the... You have reached library. To the library shelf. To the palace hall. You have reached palace hall. Wooden cabinet. Carpet. Saving point. Plant statue. Ivy. To the royal to the main corridor. To the library. Wooden to the main corridor. To the royal palace entrance. To the... A long sequence of statues and columns interspersed and enlivened by golden mouldings and huge alabaster windows. On the pavement, the mosaics create branching patterns depicting every kind of vegetation. You have reached main corridor. Equestrian statues. Big statues of some of the former Ivy kings and queens riding their horses. They are massive. Their top almost touches the ceiling. Big statues, monsters statues, rock statues of all the monsters killed centuries ago by the glorious Ivy kings and queens of the past. Concubine statues, small ivory statues of the beloved concubines, males and females, of kings and queens of yesteryear. Windows. Along the western wall, there is a long row of huge alabaster windows, decorated with the deeds of Ivy heroes and legends. To the palace hall, to the winery, to the damsel's room, to the greenhouse, equestrian to the The sun that seeps through the glass roof is warm on the skin. Although there are still a lot of dry leaves on the floor, the plants are blooming again. You have reached greenhouse. Bloody soul bush. A bush full of big red berries. If crushed, they dye everything like red ink. Now, something is needed to crush them. Tables. Long tables with a lot of bowls and plants of different shapes and dimensions. Fountain. In an angle, A small fountain with a sink dirtied by soil and rotten leaves. Rack. A wooden rack with sacks of seeds, minerals used as fertilizer, and tools for gardening. A wooden rack with sacks. Flower plants. A long row of flower plants, planted directly in the soil on the floor at the base of the wall. A long row of flower plants, planted directly in the soil on the floor at the base of the wall. So many colors, shapes, and scents, they make Nathan feel a bit dizzy. To the main corridor, Bloody Soul Bush. You have reached to the greenhouse, to the damsel's room. A circular room big enough to be divided into several small bedrooms by wood, and richly ornamented with floral motifs in their fretwork and overlays. A sweet perfume hangs in the air. You have reached damsel's room. Draperies hooked to the ceiling, they divide the room into many separate spaces, each one with a bed and a nightstand for every damsel of the queen. Loom for weaving. Weaving is considered the perfect pastime for a court damsel. Weaving is spindles. Spindles used to spin the wool. Spindle. Silk cushions. Some red silk cushions are scattered on the floor. They look cozy and expensive. Dolls collection. Some dolls are arranged on a bed. Their empty glass eyes seem to creepily follow Nathan's every movement. To the main corridor. Draperies. You have reached equestrian statues, to the greenhouse, to the damsels, to the winery, to the palace hall. A dark room with a low ceiling and barrels of different dimensions along the wall. Across the room is a wine rack full of bottles. In a corner, a small table with some tools. You have reached winery. Western wine rack. The rack is full of bottles of wine. They are without labels or seals. The rack is full of bottles of wine. They are without labels or seals. Nobody would notice a bottle missing. Eastern wine rack. The rack is full of dusty bottles of wine. Every one of them has a small lacquer seal engraved with a date. They are old and precious. Better not touch them. Mortar. Nathan smashes the berries into a red liquid. Now he needs something to carry the ink. A flask, for example. Barrels. Some barrels full of red wine from the kingdom of Reldia. Nathan remembers well the sweet taste of the wine of his land. Some barrel iron cups. Some simple but elegant iron cups. Between them there's a small healing potion. Some simple but elegant iron cups. Web. The air in the cellar is full of alcohol. Even the spiders seem drunk. The air in this. To the main corridor. Western wine rack. Eastern mortar. Nathan smashes the berries into a red liquid. Now he needs something to carry the ink. A flask, for example. Eastern west. The rack is full of bottles of wine. They are without labels or seals. Nobody would notice a bottle missing. To the main. You have to the greenhouse, to the damsel, to the wine, to the palace hall, window, concubine, to the green. You have Bloody Soul Bush. A bush full of big red tables. Long tables with fountain. In an rack. A wooden rack with sacks of seeds. Minerals used as fertilizer. And tools for gardening. Flower plant. A long row to the main. You have equestrian statue to the dam to the. You have draperies hooked to the ceiling. Loom. Weaving is considered the perfect pastime for a court damsel. Spindles, silk cushions, dolls collection. Some doll to the. You have reached main corridor. Equestrian statue to the damsels, to the winery, to the palace hall. Windows, concubines. You have reached palace hall. Wooden cabinet. Such a showcase of glass flasks, bowls, pots, and cups. Nathan. One rope. One flask. Nothing. You opened the map. You're back in the map. Palace Hall. You opened. Welcome to Blind. You have reached Palace Hall. Wooden cabinet. To the library. To the main. To the royal. Ivy chandelier. Plant statue. Saving point. Ivy. An ivy bush growing from the middle of this. To the royal palace entrance. Beautiful commoner. Conjurer. To the square. To the throne room. To the palace hall. You have wooden carpet. Saving. Plant ivy. To the royal palace. To the main corridor. A long sequence of statues and columns interspersed and enlivened by golden mouldings and huge alabaster windows. On the pavement, the mosaics create branching patterns depicting every kind of vegetation. You have equestrian to the greenhouse, to the damsel's room, to the sun that seeps through the glass roof is warm on the skin. Although there are still a lot of dry leaves on the floor, the plants are blooming again. You have bloody soul bush, a bush full of big red table, long table, found in an angle, rack, a wooden rack with flower, along to the. You have to the greenhouse, to the damsel's room, to the winery. A dark room with a low ceiling and barrels of different dimensions along the wall. Across the room is a wine rack full of bottles. In a corner, a small table with some tools. You have Western wine. The rack is full of bottles of wine. They are without labels or seals. Eastern wine. The rack, mortar. Nathan smashes the berries into a red liquid. Now he needs something to carry the ink. A flask, for example. Barrels. Some barrels full of red wine from the kingdom of Reldia. Nathan remembers well. Iron cups. Some simple but elegant iron. Web. To the main corridor. You have to the greenhouse, to the damsel, to the winery, to the palace hall. You have reached Palace Hall. Wooden cabinet. Such a showcase of glass flasks, bowls, pots, and cups. Nathan finds an unused flask. Nathan takes it. Say plant stat ivy to the royal palace entrance, to the main corridor. You have reached to the greenhouse, to the winery. You have Eastern mortar. Nathan puts the red ink into the flask. An empty mortar, soiled by a thick red web, iron barrels, mortar, Eastern, Western wine, to the web, to the you have to the greenhouse, to the winery, to the palace hall. You have to the main corridor, to the library. You have reached library. Scribe. The scribe tells Nathan he'll help and goes to the library shelves. Table, paintings, to the palace shelf, lectern, tables, painting, to the library shelf. You have reached library shelves. Oak wood bookcase. Scribe. The scribe finally talks to Nathan. The lichen witch stole the seal and made the Ivy Queen crazy. Nathan has to go to the Desert of Shadows to face the lichen witch and bring back the seal. Nathan accepts, hoping it's the last surprise of this trip. Maple scribe. With tears in his eyes, the scribe asks Nathan to save the queen. With tears in to the library. You have to the library, to the palace hall. You to the library, to the main corridor, to the library, wooden to the royal palace. You have to the square. You have to the royal to room with a to the entrance of to the port, to the crossroad. You have saving point. You saved the game. Bolts, milestones, niche, strange herbs. Some rite done by a witch to disperse some evil eye. Sack. It's full of manure. Desert man. A man with sunburnt skin. Nathan asks if he knows where the Grey Witch lives. The man tells him that she lives inside a ghost tree. He doesn't know if there are ways to reach her. But the man is an archaeologist and tells Nathan that desert ruins may hide the answer. Floating stones. The portal is broken. To the willow field. To the square. To the red cave. To the entrance of... To the beginning of the desert of the shadow. The sand begins to cover the ground, and the plain becomes a desert. The sun is high in the sky, and some tumbleweeds roll around Nathan. You have reached beginning of the desert of the shadows. Saving point. You saved the game. Tumbleweed. It's a classic. Cactus. A long cactus. A pink flower on the top. Sign. It says, Shadow Farm. We sell Aetherna's strongest liquor. Continue to the left of the cracked cliff. The cracked cliff. A very normal cliff. On a sign beside it, it says, Cracked Cliff. One of the most beautiful panoramas in Aetherna. You are close to the Shadow Farm. Something shiny. It's just an empty bottle. On the label it says, Shadow Moonshine. It's just an empty bottle. To the Crossroad Temple. To Lake of Sand. To Pyramidal Dune. To Shadow Farm. Nathan notices a building in the distance. It sways due to the high temperatures, and even when approaching, it does not seem to gain solidity. You have Shadow Farmer. A strange man with completely black eyes is arranging the earth with a rake. The farmer greets Nathan amicably. A strange man with completely black eyes. Shadow distiller. A strange distiller made with a black metal. A smell like chamomile surrounds it. The farmer tells Nathan to try his special moonshine. A strange shadow moonshine. Some brown-colored bottles are filled with an alcoholic liquid. The color of the drink is similar to a starry sky, and the smell is similar to morphine. Some brown shadow house sways like a mirage. Sways like a mirage. Vegetable garden. Some strange black plants come out of the ground. Their outlines are blurred and always seem to be backlit. The farmer tells Nathan that those shade plants don't need water and grow perfectly in that climate. Nathan tries to pick up a plant, but his hands go through it. The farmer tells him that they are still unripe, but even when mature, those plants offer little nourishment. The strange black plants come out of the ground. Nathan feels like he has a fly resting on his eye when looking at them. The strange black plants come out of the ground. Nathan feels like he has a to the beginning of the to twin dunes. Shadow farm. A strange man with complete Nathan approaches two huge dunes of the exact same size. The hot sun strikes his skin mercilessly. You have reached twin dunes. Silver sand. Nathan finds a small patch of silver sand. At first the sand seems to support him, but soon the mercenary begins to sink. Nathan has to find a solution soon. Tap the action button until Nathan is safe. Begin now! Victory! You have reached Twin Dunes. Silver sand. Thanks to his extraordinary strength and tenacity, Nathan manages to get out of the deadly trap of the quicksand. Leather pouch. Half covered by the sand, there's a black leather pouch. Inside it sleeps a snake. Annoyed by Nathan, the snake wakes up and attacks. Half covered by the sand. Skull. A human skull. The desert is a dangerous place. Rock with fossils. On the surface of the rock, Nathan admires some shell fossils. Shoe. An abandoned shoe. Nathan looks for coins inside, but finds a scorpion that stings him in the hand. Nathan sucks the poison from the wound. His life isn't at risk, but it was painful. To Shadow Farm. Silver sand. You have Shadow Farmer. A strange man. To the beginning of the vegetable garden. To Shadow Farmer. You. One hook. One red ink. Nothing. One mask. Your shadow. To the beginning of the. You have saving point. Use tumbleweed. Cactus. Sign. The cracked cliff. Something shiny. It's just an empty bottle. To the crossroad. To Lake of Sand. To Pyramidal. To Shadow. While he continues to wander in the desert, Nathan finds himself in front of strange pyramidal dunes. Perhaps they are ancient buildings now covered by sand. You have reached Pyramidal Dune. Dead horses. 3 horses savagely killed by a dark force. A corpse is under one of the dead horses. 3 horses. Sand dune. Nathan walks on one small sand dune. The sand begins to surround him, and a ghost attacks him. The battle begins. Ghost. Enemies fast attack. Enemies heavy attack. Study enemy movements. The enemy's combo starts. Defend yourself. 10. Damage suffered. Attack. 18. Damage done. Study enemy movements. The enemy's combo starts. Defend yourself. 0. Damage suffered. Attack. 13. Damage done. Study enemy movements. The enemy's combo starts. Defend yourself. 0. Damage suffered. Attack. 13. Damage done. Study enemy movements. The enemy's combo starts. Defend yourself. 0. Damage suffered. Attack. 13. Damage done. Study enemy movements. The enemy's combo starts. Defend yourself. 0. Damage suffered. Attack. 18. Damage done. Study enemy movements. The enemy's combo starts. Defend yourself. 0. Damage suffered. Attack. 18. Damage done. Study enemy movements. The enemy's combo starts. Defend yourself. 0. Damage suffered. Attack. Victory! Nathan gets gold. 25. Nathan gains experience points. 2,000. Nathan gets ghost skin. Desert essence. Press control to continue. Dead horses. To the sand dune. The ghost has disappeared. The ghost. Dead tree. A dead grey tree. Someone carved on it. She's chasing us. A dead leather pouch. Half covered by the sand, there's a brown leather pouch. It's empty. Pyramidal dunes. They are huge. If they are buildings covered by the sand, the ancient population that inhabited the desert must have had great knowledge. To the beginning of the to the obsidian, to the destroyed sanctuary. Dead horses. To the obsidian clearing. Nathan arrives in a flat area full of obsidian structures, reminiscent of leafless trees. You have reached obsidian clearing. Obsidian cactus. Looks like a jewel. Looks like small obsidian tree. A small sapling of shiny rock. Nathan wonders if it will grow up. A small sapling of shiny rock. Nathan wonders if it will grow up. Large obsidian tree. A huge black rock tree. It is impossible to scratch it. A huge, tall obsidian tree. A tall black rock tree. It is impossible to scratch it. flat obsidian tree. A flat black rock tree. It is as thin as a sheet of paper, and the surface is so smooth that Nathan can see himself in it like a mirror. A flat black to pyramidal dune. You have dead horses. To the obsidian, to the beginning of the to the destroy. A destroyed circular sanctuary, almost completely covered by sand. The desert wind creeps through its rooms, howling. You have reached destroyed sanctuary, black stone steel. On the steel there are written the instructions to summon the ghost oak. To perform the ritual, you need to create the Shadow Blend potion and pour it on the remains of the ghost oak. The Shadow Blend recipe is known only to the ones who live within the shadows. Nathan takes notes on a piece of paper. Desert altar, black, a steel of black polished stone. The instructions are in desert altar. There's a healing potion on it. A rock altar. Some simple geometric patterns decorate it. Stone benches. Simple stone benches arranged in 2 rows. Engravings on the walls. There are various symbols engraved on the walls. Perhaps it is an ancient language. There are ceiling, split in half by a huge crack. Split to pyramidal dune. You have dead horse. 3 sand. The ghost has dead tree. Led to the beginning of. You have saving point. You tumbleweed. It's a cactus sign. The cracked cliff. Something shut. It's just an empty bottle. On the label. To the crossroad. To Lake of Sand. In the golden sand dunes, Nathan glimpses what looks like a lake. Only by approaching does he discover that it's a plain formed by silvery sand. You have reached Lake of Sand. Silver sand. Nathan enters the sand lake. At first the sand seems to support him, but soon the mercenary begins to sink. Nathan has to find a solution soon. Tap the action button until Nathan is safe. Begin now! Victory! You have reached Lake of Sand. Silver sand. Thanks to his extraordinary strength and tenacity, Nathan manages to get out of the deadly trap of the quicksand. Saguaro. A huge cactus. A huge barrel cactus. A funny round cactus. Leather pouch. Half covered by the sand, there's a brown leather pouch. Inside it, some coins. Half covered by the barrel cactus. To the rocky plain. The territory quickly turns to desert as Nathan passes through it. The mercenary finds himself in a vast rocky plain. Only a few sporadic herbs and cacti occasionally color the environment. You have reached Rocky Plain. Bull skull. A cool skull, suitable for hanging above the fireplace. Cactus. Bull. A cool skull. The cactus seems to move sometimes. Nathan decides to investigate and approaches. The cactus attacks him by hitting him with one of his arms. Nathan dodges the attack. Nathan now wants to fight back. Nathan strikes the cactus with his sword, cutting it in half. A dark shadow escapes from the plant. The cactus was possessed by a ghost. The battle begins. Ghost. Enemies fast attack. Enemies heavy attack. Study enemy movements. The enemy's combo starts. Defend yourself! 15. Damage suffered. Attack! Nathan Eel. 13. Damage done. Study enemy movements. The enemy's combo starts. Defend yourself! 10. Damage suffered. Attack! 18. Damage done. Study enemy movements. The enemy's combo starts. Defend yourself! 0. Damage suffered. Attack! 18. Damage done. Study enemy movements. The enemy's combo starts. Defend yourself! 10. Damage suffered. Attack! 13. Damage done. Study enemy movements. The enemy's combo starts. Defend yourself! 0. Damage suffered. Attack! 18. Damage done. Study enemy movements. The enemy's combo starts. Defend yourself! 0. Damage suffered. Attack! 13. Damage done. Study enemy movements. The enemy's combo starts. Defend yourself! 0. Damage suffered. Attack! Victory! Nathan gets gold. 25. Nathan gains experience points. 2,000. Nathan gets ghost skin. Desert essence. Press control to continue. Bulls. To Lake of Sun. Bull skull. A cool cactus. A cactus cut in half. A cactus. Abandoned bivouac. 3 tents around a bonfire. It looks deserted. The bonfire has been extinguished for quite a while. 3 notebook. A leather notebook. Nathan opens it. The phrase, "Someone spies on us at night," is obsessively written inside. A leather notebook. Nathan opens it. The hoof tracks. Someone ran away in a hurry. Someone. To Lake of Sand. Bull skull. You have. To the beginning of the. You have saving. You. To Pyramidal Dune. To Lake of. To the crossroad. Something. The cracked side. Cactus. Tumbleweed. Saving. To Shadow Farm. You have reached Shadow Farm. Shadow Farmer. Nathan tells the farmer that he needs to summon the ghost oak. The Shadow Farmer reveals to Nathan that he needs 3 ghost skins to prepare the Shadow Blend potion. But the farmer warns Nathan that ghosts cannot be killed by a simple sword. Nathan smiles and reveals that his sword is enchanted and can hurt ghosts. Nathan tells the farmer that he needs to shadow to the big to Twin Dunes to the you saving point you tumble cact sign. It says shadow the cracked something it's just to the crossroad to you have silver sand. Thanks to his extra saguaro barrel leather pop to the rocky plain. to skull-shaped stone. In the desolation of the desert, some skull-shaped rocks stand out. They do not seem natural. Perhaps an ancient civilization inhabited this area. You have reached skull-shaped stones. Grey skull-shaped stone. Made of limestone rock. It's big. Inside one eye socket, there's a rock shaped like a rose. It's the dead rose. Made of pink, skull-shaped stone. Made of quartz. It shines under the strong sun. Made of quartz. Blue, skull-shaped stone. Made of blue calcite. Touching it, Nathan feels invigorated. Made of blue green and pink, skull-shaped stone. Made of unakite. Touching it, Nathan has a vision. A woman made of unakite. Nathan doesn't want to touch it a second time. Huts. Some simple wooden huts surround the texts. This seems to have been a sacred place. To lake of sand, to petrified roots, grey to some ancient petrified roots cover the ground. The roots gather on a huge rocky base that was once part of a tree trunk. Nathan pushes aside the thin layer of sand that covers the stone floor. The surface is covered with numerous concentric circles, the growth rings that determine the age of the tree. You have reached petrified roots. Petrified roots. The roots are reminiscent of snakes that were petrified as they were crawling. The roots are growth rings. Given the number of circles, it seems that this tree has lived for millennia. Given the number to skull-shaped, petrified roots, the roots, growth rings, to skull-shaped stone. You grey skull, blue, hot, to lake of, to petrified, grey, to you silver, thanks to his saguaro, a huge cactus, a huge barrel, a funny leather pouch, half covered to the rock. You have bulls, a cool skull, suitable for hanging above the fireplace. Cactus, a cactus cut in half. Abandoned bivouac, 3 tents around. Notebook, hoof tracks, to lake of sand. You have to the beginning of the desert. You have saving tumbleweed, cactus, sign, the cracked cliff, a very normal cliff. On a sign beside it, it says, cracked cliff, one, something shut. To the crossroad, it's just an empty bot. To lake of sand, to pyramidal dune, to shadow farm, saving, to pyramidal dune. You have dead horses, 3 sand, the ghost has disappeared. Dead tree, a dead grey tree, someone carved on it, she's chasing us. Leather, half covered by the sand, there's a brown leather pouch. It's empty. Pyramid, they are huge. To the beginning of to the obsidian, to the destroyed dead horses. To the you have obsidian cactus. Looks like a jewel. Small, a small large, a huge black, tall, a tall, flat, a flat. To you have dead horses. To the destroyed you blacks, a steel of black poly. Desert altar, a rock altar. Stone benches, simple stone engravings. There are various symbols in ceiling, split in half. To black stone. You have 1. Emerald. 2. Ghosts. 2. Des. 1. Steel info. 1. Dead rose. Nothing. 1. Dead rose. Nothing. 1. Dead rose. 1. Steel info. A sheet on which the steel information was marked. You're back in the dead. To the destroyed to the obsidian, to the beginning of the... You have saving point. You tumbleweed. It's a classic. It's a classic. A long cactus. A pink flower on the top. A long... It says Shadow Farm. A very normal cliff. On a... It's just an empty... To the crossroad. To Lake of Sand. To Pyramidal D. To Shadow... You shadow. Nathan tells the farmer that he needs to the beginning of the vegetable garden. To Twin Dunes. You have silver sand, thanks to his extra leather pouch, half covered by skull. A human skull. The desert is a dangerous place. Rock with... On the surface of the rock, Nathan admires some shell fossils. On the surface, shoe. An abandoned shoe. Better to leave the scorpion alone. An abandoned shoe. Better to leave... To Shadow Farm. Silver sand. To...
Scene window, list scene.
Reached Shadow Farm.
Source audio, scene transitions window, duration spin button, add configurable transition button, controls window, stop recording checkbox, start streaming checkbox, not checked, scene transitions window, add configurable duration spin button, 300 mm transition combo box, save collapse, stop, audio mixer window, grouping. Sources window, list, display capture, scene window, list scene, controls window, pause recording checkbox, not checked, audio controls window, pause recording check, find quest the ID queen.
Shadow Farm. Shadow Distiller. A strange distiller made with a black metal. A smell like camp... Shadow. Vegetable. To the beginning of... You have saving... Cactus. Cactus. Tumble. Saving. To Shadow Farm. To Pyramidal. To Lake of Sand. To the crossroad. You have silver sand. Thanks to his... Saguaro. A huge cactus. Barrel. Leather. To the rocky plain. To skull shape. To the beginning of the... Silver sand. To skull... Grey. Made of limestone. Pink. Skull. Made of blue. Green. Hot. To Lake of Sand. To petrified root. Greys. You have petrified. Growth rate. To skull. Petrified roots. The roots are reminiscent of snakes that were petrified as they were crawling. Growth ring. Given the number of circles. To skull-shaped. Petrified root. You have grey, pink, blues, green, hot. To lake. To petrified roots. Grey. You have reached silver. Thanks to his saguaro leather. To the rocky plain. To skull shape. To the beginning of the desert of the shadow. To the rocky plain. To skull. To... You bull skull. Cactus. A band. Notebook. Hoof. To lake of bulls. Cactus. Up. Note. Hoof. To lake of... You opened them. You're back. Rocky plain. You have reached to the beginning of the desert. Saving. You opened your... You saved the game. You... Welcome to
Ops 29.1. Scene window, list scene, sources audio, scene, duration, add, control, stop recording, check.